Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Wout Meutstege. I won't hold you to the pronunciation of my name. If you could pull up the slides. Guys. Yeah. And today I want to talk about the power of dynamic pricing. I don't know how familiar you are with Sqills. We are a Dutch software company that provides inventory management, reservation, pricing solutions for the long-distance rail and bus market. And my role at this company is in sales and business development, but I also consult with some of our customers on the implementation of the platform that we built. What do I do today? Today I will tell you what we mean by the power of dynamic pricing, and I do that in sort of 3 sections. First of all, I have to stand still by the power of reservations. If you know Sqills at all, you know that our pride and joy is inventory management, seat reservations, or we like to call it, reservations. Then I will elaborate what the potential of this tool is when you add a dynamic pricing engine. And third of all, I will combine those 2 factors and show you how you can really take your business to the next level as a rail or bus operator. If you're unfamiliar with us, we work with around 40 of the leading railway operators and bus operators in Europe and even in the North Americas as well. And you may know us for our inventory management, for our distribution system, for our pricing solutions, and we deliver to the needs that the operators of this world have in 2023. So if you come by our booth later, you will see some of these pillars that we stand by. We serve any operator in the industry. If you look at our previous picture, we go from the low-cost operator to the full-service network carrier. In that sense, we don't make any distinction, and our software powers them all. We enable targeted distribution of your tickets through any channel that you may have, online, via the app, but maybe also via the OSDM standard that we are investing in as well. And what we are really proud of is our capability of doing seat reservations, attended by the power of dynamic pricing. Okay, I will briefly stand still by the power of reservations first. If you, as an operator, serve this journey of 10 stops, any rail or bus line, an average bus line stops maybe 10 times or more. Something that you don't see in the airline industry, but that you do see in the railway industry, is that when there are 10 stops on a route, there's actually 45 different travel options that you can take. And that means that the individual OD pairs, each of these individual combinations, all affect each other in the world of seat reservations. Because if someone's seated on seat 1 from A to C, another person cannot sit on that same seat from B to the end of the journey. So we keep track of everything based on the combination of origin and destination. That may sound like a very simple, different view of perspective. Instead of doing it leg-based, we do it origin-destination-based. But we actually believe that this is super fundamental. Because this allows you to sell to the right person at the right time for the right price. And we do that by separating 2 worlds. We separate the world of physical availability, so the actual amount of seats that you have available on a train or on a bus, from what we call the world of logical availability, or your price levels. So because there is a physical limit to the train, you can never sell more seats than you actually have. That's something that our physical availability will ensure. But within that physical realm, you can still play with your prices dynamically based on logical availability. We use triggers for this, triggers that take you from one price level to the next. And these triggers, I will now introduce the world-famous term, they are called buckets. So if you're selling a first-class seat across your network, that first-class seat may have maybe 10 different price ranges, starting at 15 euros all the way up to 60 euros. That's, of course, a bit of an extreme example. And you may sell this first-class seat on your journey with 10 stops at any of these given price points. But not only from the beginning to the end, but you can sort of, within those 10 stops on the route, you can manage the different markets and their prices independently from each other. And we are really proud of being able to do that, because if you have a train that stops 10 times, and you maybe have 3 classes of service, from standard class to first class to business class. And you have 10 buckets per class, 500 trains a day, 365 days ahead of sales. That means that at any given point in time, we are keeping track of 54 million counters. And we do that in real time, because we, as the central system that sells your tickets, need to, of course, respond as fast as possible. So managing the available prices by OD, on one hand constrained by the physical capacity, but on the other hand being able to play with the price levels using our buckets, that is the first foundation that S3 Passenger lies for the concept of dynamic pricing. And what are some of these benefits? You can forecast demand. If you sell tickets ahead of time, and you do that with the concept of physical and logical availability, you know ahead of time which trains will be popular and which trains will not be popular. So you can make your equipment usage a lot more effective. You know already that the 10 a.m. train of tomorrow morning is super popular, but maybe the 1 p.m. train is very empty. And you can do something with your prices to steer the public to take the train that you want them to take to save your equipment. And if you take the analogy of selling a fresh piece of Austrian mountain cheese, for example, here in the grocery store, you don't want that piece of cheese to go bad. You don't want this piece of cheese to go to waste. And how we look at seating in your train or on your bus, any unsold seat is a waste. It's spoilage. A good seat should never go without selling, we believe. Because either your price is too high, or you were uninformed of the actual demand on the train. So that's the foundation, our reservation capabilities. But we actually believe that in the world of 2023, that is not enough. Because to our foundation of reservation capability, we needed to add a little bit of spice. We needed to add a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of dynamism, to call this a true dynamic pricing engine. So what we add to the aforementioned triangle of physical availability and logical availability, allowing you to sell your first class seat at different price levels across your train, we add a dynamically calculated price. And for that, we use our S3 pricing engine. The pricing engine allows you to think about dynamic pricing with a focus on the passenger. With S3 Passenger, we do not only manage seat reservations. In reality, we sell the entire range of tickets that any operator may serve, from traditional seat reservations on one end to anytime fares on the other end. In between are, for example, models that we know where we do actually sell the seat reservation, but we don't inform the passenger of the seat that he's been allocated. The benefit of this model is that you know still ahead of time which train is going to be popular and which train is not going to be popular, and you can still fluctuate price based on that. But we also know models where you only run train-bound promotions. Maybe you have 50 promotional tickets available, and you want to sell those 50, and as soon as those 50 are gone, your promotion stops. And in the end, we also work with walk-up fares, the fixed price ticketing that barely change in price as well, because our operators simply ask us to support those tickets as well. What we see in the last 20, 30 years of pricing in the world of rail and bus is that we've become really good and really creative of thinking of all these different kinds of fares and different kinds of exceptions, but that pricing is essentially often a big Excel spreadsheet. You have a big list of prices from A to B, from B to C, in first class, in standard class, with a different price for children and a different price for seniors. But in the end, it's a massive collection of a large amount of spreadsheets. And we don't think that's manageable. How can you innovate, and how can you run promotional campaigns, and how can you steer public interest towards your trains if you only can manage your price from these static files that are often years and years old? So what we do is we try to break that barrier, Because with the S3 pricing engine, the customer does not need to build a new Excel sheet or a new table or a new set of rules for every single price that it has. We work with a large set of input parameters. And all of these input parameters have their own role and their own place. And combining all of these input parameters with a few data tables and a few expressions and a few formulas, really true mathematical input, we throw them together in the S3 pricing engine, and together with these few, maybe 10 or 20 different tables or rules, you can create millions and millions and millions of prices. You can create your standard offer, your first class offer, and your business class offer, and you can run your promotions on top of that, with the addition of just 1 or 2 extra rules. Now, why do I stress this so much? I don't know who of you is good at cooking at home. I will not pretend that I'm a good chef. But I imagine that if I was a good chef, if I was this 5-star chef, I imagine that I would not remember the thousands and thousands of recipes that I may know from the top of my head. That I have to put 500 grams of flour and that I have to put 300 grams of beef in this exact recipe. What I think is that if you are a really good chef and if you're a really good cook, you cook a little bit on feel and you cook a little bit where your recipe or your outcome becomes sort of the natural result of your ingredients. So by putting the right ingredients together, playing a little bit with the amounts, tweaking them a little bit, your end result, your meal, is simply the outcome of the input parameters that you defined. And we look at pricing the same way. Price, we believe, should be the result of calculations and should not be statically defined. So combining our reservation background, our ability to judge per origin-destination combination on every single train that you sell, knowing exactly how many people will be on any given train, with these dynamic calculation rules, allow us to perform dynamic pricing. Because if we combine these factors, and we look at the realistic purchase flow, for example, me and 6 of my colleagues traveled from Amsterdam to Vienna yesterday, there's a lot of factors that come into play here. First of all, I have to search for valid travel options. How many options can I take from Amsterdam to Vienna by rail? I think the only option for me is the night jet, but say that there's more options to go, we have to evaluate all of those travel options. Then we have to look at the availability. How much seats do I still have available for sale, and how many seats, for which price level do I want to sell those seats? Then, as I'm an adult passenger, I have to see, okay, which tariffs or which fares am I eligible for? And then we calculate the price based on all of the input parameters that I provide when I'm traveling. And of course, our job is to do that very fast. So it's these dynamic prices that are calculated in real time for every journey search request, we respond to them in a matter of milliseconds. And therefore, with our reservation capabilities, plus our pricing capabilities, we believe that any of these railway operators and bus operators in 2023 can maximize their business. And with that, I want to thank you for your attention in these last 15 minutes or so. If you have more questions for us, we're at the booth. Visit Sqills and Siemens there. And that's all I have for you today.